Hey everybody, it's Bust with Expedition Trial number 490. Getting right there down to the end, right to the wire, 490, 11 to go until we hit that 500 mark. But today we're going to be drafting this Braum. I feel like this is a fun one to get together as we near the end of Expedition. If you want to see a Fishbones trial, we got one in the past video or two as far as Expedition is concerned, called it Bilgewater double feature or something like that, and had a pretty fun run there. But here we're going to be picking up this Battle Scars Braum. Don't get this confused with the Fluffed and Tuft Braum. That's the one that's built around all the Poros. It's sort of a Braum deck, sort of not. But here with Battle Scars, we're going to look to take full advantage of Braum. And so if we get this archetype pulled up, it pairs up with Vladimir, and it's meant to be taking advantage of some of the self-damage themes. And so you deal a damage to Braum, he generates the Poro. You deal a damage to Scarthane Stefan, it gets +3 attack. And then as you move your way over to Noxus, you'll find cards like Imperial Demolitionist that you can use to damage your own units, and then you'll find cards like Crimson Disciple that deals the damage to your opponent whenever it takes damage. And so I'm kind of envisioning us being able to make this kind of burn style Battle Scars kind of deck. We'll have to see if the Noxus half is going to play well with this. But as we look at the new cards in the set like Bone Scryer, typically not super strong, but it does give us a way to deal some face damage. There's the new 3/2 Overwhelm for 2 mana that does a damage to everybody. And so when you add that up with like Imperial Demolitionist, Crimson Disciple, you have lots of ways to just deal face damage to your opponent. And so I'm kind of envisioning being able to do something along those lines. The kind of secondary strategy that you'll see out of this deck, and what I'm curious to, is if Riot actually put it together into this archetype. I feel like they probably didn't, but is the regenerate units, right? Braum has regenerate. You see a card down here like Scar Maiden Reaver has regenerate, Usgar has it, and they did just print those 2 new guys that if they plunder to flip into like 5/5 regenerates and stuff. And so you can use kind of like a secondary strategy with those if you want to say play an avalanche to AoE the board, have your regenerate units survive, and then they're back to full power the next turn, where your opponent might be behind a bit after eating the AoE on their units. And so we'll see. I'm curious how this can come together. This is one of those things where if the archetypes were readily updated and curated, it would be kind of interesting. But that kind of like fell by the wayside a while ago, and so it's a little bit unfortunate. And so, anyways, an interesting set of champions here. We're not going to be drafting the Arsenal today. I feel like I've given you all your fill of Ziggs over the past couple of videos where we've been playing quite a bit of Talia Ziggs and Constructed. But we have 2 options over here, and they're both kind of interesting, right? Siphoning Strike is something that plays fantastically with Braum. Giving him the +2/+2 not only makes it so he can kill units when he challenges them, it makes it a little bit tougher to actually bring him down. Very, very powerful. And you can find some vulnerable kind of synergies out of Freylord. You can get the Caught in the Cold that can give an opposing unit vulnerable and a Frostbite. But I think we're going to go with this Riven here today. Hopefully this kind of helps push things onto theme. Nox and Fervor is kind of okay, right? It's a burn spell that can go to face. You can Nox and Fervor onto Braum, and he'll just heal the damage back a little bit later. And then the +2 attack Reforge is excellent with Braum. You usually find a bit of trouble finding good spots to use the +2 attack. It's usually just like, well, I want to play the sword this turn, so let's play the +2 attack. But giving Braum some attack can be quite relevant as well. And so I don't think there's going to be too much in the Arachnophilia archetype that's exciting, but I'll pull up the Braum as well. Oh, I forgot there's Crimson Bloodletter in here. This is the stupid ass card they added to Arachnophilia. I guess it works out in our favor here, but I really hate that they added this guy to Arachnophilia. Just, it's what he's supposed to do, just like kill off your own broodlings with the Crimson Bloodletter. Seems pretty dumb to me, but nonetheless, not too interested in the cards here, although the Bloodletter is interesting. But I wanted to pull up Vladimir real quick just to show you the cards that we're talking about if you're not familiar with them. And so, right, you have cards like Crimson Aristocrat that deals damage and gives a bonus, cards like Imperial Demolitionist that deals damage and then does face damage. Transfusion is a premier combat trick. These are all great activators for the self-damage kind of theme. And then the payoff is cards like Crimson Curator that generates units, Crimson Disciple that does damage to face. And so nice little set of combos that we can get going there. And there's a lot of just early game aggression out of the Noxus half of this deck. And so be kind of interesting to see how much of that we can piece together if we get some of the new Freylord cards to go along with it. But here, not interested in Crimson Awakener. This guy's just like a little bit too weak, and the Crimson Aristocrat isn't the real preferred unit boosting kind of thing. So I'm just going to go with the double Reforge pack over here with the Runeweaver and the Weapon Hilt, and then see if we can't pick up some things that are on a little bit more on track. All right, Fabled Poro. you can go for the Poros cards here. It's just you're not super likely to have them turn up from this point forward. I think we need to stay away from the Fabled Poro. I'm not a huge fan of Succumb to the Cold, but I am pretty interested in the Avarosian Sentry. Just a great early game play for us. Okay, and so here's a more beautiful Battle Scarsy looking pack, right? The Imperial Demolitionist to deal the damage, the Crimson Curator for the value. Looks pretty good to me. Man, there was a point in time where the Crimson Curator was one of the most powerful cards in the game. Back in the Foundations only draft, this was a superstar, but he's kind of fallen by the wayside. Riot hasn't printed any more Crimson units. He's kind of a sad bro these days. But on to the next one. Ooh, Wrath of the Freylord. This guy's huge, right? Enemies with 3 or less power can't block. He has Overwhelm. That's everything we're looking for in a late game play. I think this is okay. These would be pretty on theme with the Bone Scryer Shaman's Call, but it's tough to pass up on epics like Wrath of the Freylord. So incredibly powerful. Okay, and then do we really want to go in with the likes of Unscarred Reaver? Because the problem we have here is like Arachnoid Host is pretty bad. Frozen Thrall is extremely bad. And so it's not great, but it is at least pretty on theme. And we get to pick up a pretty good combat trick with it. So much Arachnophilia. It's unfortunate that wasn't a different Riven archetype, but it's still okay. Here we'll go with the Starlit Seer Tavern Keeper. Just high quality, good cards. Coming into this one, another interesting set. It's like I had the vision that we were going to be this kind of like Overwhelms plus Burn style deck, but those cards haven't quite come together. And so what's interesting with this one is like Troll Chant is incredibly powerful. This is the best card out of all of these, but the Decisive Maneuvers plays fantastically in the Overwhelm strategies, and we also get to pick up a Runeweaver with it, but we do need a bit of late game here, right? We only have the Wrath of the Freylord at this point, and so I think we have to pick up the Alpha Wildclaw. This one's pretty close. The way that this would feel pretty bad is if we take the Decisive Maneuvers here, and then another one shows up like 3 picks down the road. If we end up with 2 Alpha Wildclaws, we're pretty okay with it. If we end up with 2 Decisive Maneuvers, we're going to be pretty upset about it. So we'll let it go. All right, here we'll pick up the on-theme cards and the Demolitionist and the Ice Shard. The Wildclaw Trapper are the probable actual pick here, but I do want to try and get some of these combos together. Okay, so we get a Stefan with the Transfusion. That looks pretty good. Everything on theme and on point. And here I could go for the Blighted Ravine, but we haven't picked up any regenerate units. I'm not particularly interested in that. Otherwise, I think this is just a Blade Squire for us. The Wrathful Rider is, of course, not very strong, but she's still a playable unit, and we have enough Reforges to make her interesting. All right, I won't be taking Death Lotus, though. This one's just way too bad. I'm going to go with the Rime Tusk Shaman here. Again, I don't like Succumb to the Cold. It just plays too awkwardly too often, but the Rime Tusk Shaman is an incredibly important take. It's just such a super strong card. And here, we did miss out on 2 Wild Claws after we took this one. I want to pick up the Tusk Raider, just to ensure we have enough top end for the day. Okay, beautiful. Get rid of Succumb to the Cold for Whirling Death. I'm definitely on board with that. Okay, so the deck has come together. You all know what time it is. We do have to go and turn something premium, pay the pay-to-win price for the pay-to-win lifestyle, and let's see what's out here. Not too much. Hey, Bone Scryer, though, right? He's one of the new bros. I appreciate it, my dude. Make it cheap. We only got, look at that, out of Freylord Noxus commons, we just have faces of the old ones. Is that the only filter we did? Oh, we did. It's pretty close though. A lot more spells than units, but getting real close to having the entire premium collection out here. Okay, so cool. Reasonable deck, not the strongest thing we've assembled. It is kind of one of the awkward things with this archetype in that you need a lot of things to go right in the draft to get everything together. But I think we've pieced together enough to where we're competitive, and then we might be able to get some trade picks and get on theme. Okay, Narzed with Bandle City Freylord. Interesting. So let's just keep the two cheap plays here. Starlit Seer with the Reforges is a nice little combo. This is looking to be a fairly exquisite draw. So much premium in here. I'm sure our opponent is super intimidated. There's that premium Bone Scryer. He's ready to bring it. It's going to be surviving all the damages, doing all the face damage. Pretty excited. Is he going to boom us with the follow-up challenger? I don't think so. I just don't think they have anything. Yep. Get us for that point of damage. Thinking about it, it's tough. It can be tough to just push that unit out into the attack space. your unblockable unit may want to hang out behind. I understand the time need to stop and think about this. Man, I don't know what the deal with LOR Master is. It's still got our Ziggs deck up from the previous video. Let me see. I'll see if I can't restart it or something. Had some struggles with it. There it is. There's the ribbon and the Braum. Okay, beautiful, beautiful. Opponent takes the damage. Not super surprised. Young Witch is not a particularly strong blocker. So, let's see if they got the plays. They've been thinking about all of them, so I'm sure they have something strong lined up for us here. Bitsy Lizard, you got it. No pokey sticks to make him grow. There's the pokey stick. Gonna have the incoming Gnar as well. All destiny ends bleached white. We feast tonight, Varg. Just the Wolf Rider. Okay. Varg's gonna be feasting tonight. So we don't have any good blocks on this thing. We can Troll Chant and like wear its damage down a little bit. It could be a reasonable place just to put the Bone Scryer in front. I thought this was going to be one of these turns to where we could just like prevent all the damage. Like we get a big block in front of his units and then shrink the Young Witch, but it didn't quite come together that way. Okay, well, you can do your point of damage, Bone Scryer, and that's going to have to be it. Oh, does he have to survive the damage? Oh, well, you tried hard, my dude. You just didn't make it at the end of the day. The three are unrivaled. Let's see if we can't get ourselves a decent combat here. The Wrathful Rider should be fairly safe. I was looking to make a Whirling Death play here, but it may not need to. We're going to offer up 2 decent blocks for him, and now we can drop a Whirling Death. Should buy us some time. Okay. Pretty decent value turn. We got the value hook onto the Young Witch, the trade with the Whirling Death. That give us a +1 bonus with the Starlit Seer, and then we get the Reforge out of it as well. Not bad. More Young Witches. Coming at us with the elusives now, huh? Let's just pass. Our blocks against the stuff he has now are good enough because we have the troll chant. Let's say if he just comes in with the elusives, there's not anything we can do about it. And then we have a like a troll chant kind of plays if we want things to work out like that. Not too bad. Get the 2 unit kills, trade out the sentry, get to hook in his young witch with the Wrathful Rider again. Pretty okay with how this is going. I think we should probably just heal face with the Tavern Keeper. The 1 health on the Wrathful Rider shouldn't be too important, especially since we're just planning to take down the young witch with it. But I do worry about there just being like random recall shenanigans or overwhelm shenanigans. That few points of health could be quite important here. It's big old Rune Weaver. Got the +2 attack. But this is looking okay, right? We get to... What the fuck? I haven't seen a singular will in ages. Pick an ally, recall everything else. Okay. Sent back tons of mana to our hand, but he didn't get to keep like anything super critical. The lava lizard's not the biggest deal. How does this one work? If you damage the enemy nexus, flip into something big. Yep, that guy's problematic. I mean, we can try and take him down with the Wrathful Rider, but a lot of stats coming out of this thing if this goes wrong. I think we should be okay, though. He's going to get frostbitten. We'll have the giant unit. We have a ton of combat tricks. I think we should be fine. I'm more worried about the elusive package that he's holding in hand. Jeez, gonna have to deal 10 damage to it? Alright. You have to deal 12 damage to it? Alright. I think we're a little short on that. Oh, we got 6. Or no, we have 4, right? With the transfusion. That's kind of gross. I mean, it is nice that the Rhyme-Test Shaman will continue to shrink it, but it's going to be kind of scary. Alright, well that's the squad coming at you. Probably just this, right? Let's be real. We're not close enough to actually killing him. He has a bunch of good blocks with this Lava Lizard, and we really don't want the Rhyme-Test Shaman to get involved in a combat. So let's leave her behind. She's doing a good enough job trying to shut down the Rager. Wallop. No thanks. But right, that would have been... Yeah, we would have had the trick to protect the Rhyme-Test Shaman, but if that was the play to like block the Shaman and then wallop, that could have left us some potential problems. I have to assume if he had like a Nox and Guillotine that he probably wouldn't have walloped the Wrathful Rider, but we're okay. Woodland Keeper, all the elusives coming at us. Sure. 8, 9, 10 in total. Can't block any of it. Sure. Alright, let's see what we can do here. Squad gets AoE'd. A little sad. We can generate a Riven Sword now. Do we have a way to just get a lethal this turn, right? We can put... I think I'm looking at, say, putting the Riven Sword onto our 7-1. And then we want the next Overwhelmer to be the Scarthane Stefan. And so let's just go about it like that. Quick attack and stuff. Get this Riven Sword in. Okay. So he's going to get like one good block with the Magma Rager. Right, he can put the Rager in front of our Alpha Wildclaw, that's fine. We can hook the Young Witch with the Wrathful Rider. That will come in for 8. And then, as it stands, he can put the Giga Gromp in front of the Scarthane Stefan. We're a little short chunking through it, but we still have a pretty decent attack with everything here. The only real downside to this one is if he puts like the pterodactyl in front of our shaman. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case, but I can't wait to see what absurdity he's picked up in hand. He chose not to play anything. So as it stands, we only need to deal 2 damage, and so with a block like that, I would deal 1 damage to the Stefan and then boost the Rhymetusk Shaman. Now we just need to get in for 4, so we still have the lethal. We'll deal 1 here. We'll boost the Alpha Wildclaw. That's only 1? Is my math really that bad? It said we were at 4. Alright. Said he was at 4, right? Dealing 1 damage to the Stefan should be +3, and then the +2 attack to the unit of the end should be the. It's something there. I don't know. I don't know what happened to us. Okay. If he wants to get the impact with the pterodactyl, he has to attack with it. So he can't just lethal us with this board. So the pterodactyl will deal 1 to everything. All right, let's see if we can fade a pokey stick. Still, I mean, I don't know what we did wrong there. I'd have to go back and look at that again, but that's so weird when the Oracle Eye says they're at 4, and then we bring in +5 damage with the transfusion. Anyways, still 1. Still 1. See what turns up. I'm not like opposed to picking up Vladimir's. It's just like better at this strategy than Braum is. Generating the unit's fine, but getting these big drains out of Vladimir is extremely powerful. And so I think that's where we're going to go with it. It is also nice to be able to, like, I'm not amped about Shaman's Call, but it's nice to be able to put Overwhelms onto Vladimir. He has a lot of trouble actually dealing damage to the opponent outside of his drain, and so I'm on board. Oh, Vladimir, he hasn't had his time in the sun in a while. Oh, I guess that's appropriate, right? He is a nice vampire. I don't think he's one of those daywalkers. No Edward Collins in the land of the Vladimirs. Supposed to go watch Batman today. We'll see how that goes. I've heard good things about the Robert Pattinson Batman. I don't think I've seen a movie in the theater since 2020. So it'll be It'll be nice to get that back in the rotation, back in the mix. Worked at a movie theater in college. It was a fantastic gig. It was like it wasn't like one of the big movie theaters you run into now that has like 12 and 14 screens in it. They had between 2 and 4, and so it was pretty nice just being able to all the movies start at like 3 or 5 or 7 o'clock or 9 o'clock, and then after that like half hour of movie starting, you have basically an hour of free time while all the movies are just playing, and so you just get to bullshit and do homework and stuff. Pretty good gig. All right, back to the action here. No ones, reasonable collection of twos. A little bit of awkwardness with the Rune Weaver and the Demolitionist, but I think we'll just try to deal with it. Okay, what's this guy even doing? Visilion. Whoa, Pharaoh's Financier. This guy is tough to find in Expedition. This is literally one of the only ways to pick this up. You can't actually trade pick for the Financier because these cards aren't in like the Expedition deck like archetype things. Like there's still some stuff you can randomly get like Tryndamere, but the Jace cards are just completely gone, and so you have to be using these card generation things to pull up the Financier. A little bit of trivia for you. Alright, but this is getting awkward now that we have no good targets for the Demolitionist. This is a reasonable turn just to bank the mana, but we're going to need to find something to do. Okay. So we're going to overbank 2. I mean, I guess we could get away without playing the Demolitionist, but I worry if we don't have it on board, we're going to find ourselves in this space to where we like have to block with Rhymetusk Shamans and stuff, and I'm really not amped about that kind of thing. Okay. Curator, day late, my dude. Day late. Perfect target for all of these Imperial Demolitionist type cards. Do we still dropping? It's tough for us to get a good combat here.
Winter is the Freljord's true ruler.
Follow me. Just gonna put this here.
Really
Bitter cold.
interesting.
Hope this works.
It's not how I expected that turn to go.
Fired.
No. Nah, man. Not letting that kind of shit happen. But this is like the space I didn't really want to get our Shaman into, to where you have to play spells to come out and protect her. So it gets a little awkward, but still okay. Things got a lot better now that we've picked up some on-theme units. I stands for violence. Okay. Let's see what happens. I don't think we have to get in too heavy with the transfusion. Like, he's definitely going to put the Clockling in front of the Rhymetusk Shaman, but we should get a decent transfusion, get a card off of the transfusion. Then I think this is okay. Get to continue growing our board. Cool. And now Vi should get shrunk down to 0. She can, of course, grow by playing cards, but she's much less scary when she doesn't have any attack. And it's like he probably wants to keep playing cards and then just hook the Rhymetusk Shaman with Vi. And that's fine. to get the trade out of here. He can't just like come in and take a value hook onto Imperial Demolitionist or onto Crimson Curator and then just let the Shaman continue to shrink Vi. That's not going to work out. I would say we're going to see a trade come down.
What do we need a key for?
All right, well, that's a little bit more unfortunate, but it's not the end of the world. She gets to grow back up to, was she an 8? A 6? That's not that bad. She dies to literally everything now, which is kind of nice.
Remember the objectives.
We'll see. This lucky find that could come onto Vi. You can get like +1/+1, which would suck, or you could get +0/+2, which would be worse. But if he has to find something like quick attack, then I feel like this is a pretty good turn for us. Like if we blast in, he just like blocks the elephant with the 5/3, takes a value block with the safecracker onto the Crimson Guard, and then takes 11. That's pretty good for us. +1/+1. That makes this so much worse.
Strike at their foundations.
All right, still bringing it.
Leave it.
Not worth my time.
So at least takes Vi to 1 health. Ooh. Blocks the Wild Claw. Okay. Chrono Shift, are you serious? Okay. Well, I guess that's one way to win a game. Jesus. Well, if you all were ready to play around the Chrono Shift, you're better at this than I am. That's for certain. Got a good collection of hand, though. We might be able to just get wider than him and kill. The unfortunate thing is we don't have a ton of burn in this deck.
I learned my scars.
But Vi's not that scary. She doesn't have Overwhelm. She's going to do the 5 damage punch thing. But that's kind of whatever.
Headed in. Trouble coming at ya. In Azir's name. I'm ready. Maybe. Get what? My first scar.
All right, let's spend that mana as best we can. Just want to get the most expensive stuff down on board. Add in the Curator.
Everyone bleeds for the right price.
See what turns up. Sentry, not quite what we were looking for.
These old eyes still see far and clear.
So many time tricks from this guy. So many time tricks from this guy. Okay. Losing to this collection of cards is a little unfortunate. The 7 time trick deck is not particularly good, but this is what it is. We may be able to survive a lethal next turn, which is the big thing here. Just get to attack with our 3 attack units. Don't want to hook Vi. We want to hook you. You survive all these other attacks. Let's see where this gets us. I was hoping to, like, the kind of game plan was to just get a full board and then see if we can't like draw into some burn. I know we don't have enough burn with the Crimson Disciple, but kind of the idea here. So this is just going to come down to, I think if he hits Overwhelm on the Lucky Find, he'll kill us. If he has burn spells, then he's going to kill us because Vi will strike for 5. And then if we make it out of the next turn, then we're probably okay. It's predicted like a million times and still can't find an Overwhelm card. All right, let's see if you get it twice in a row. Sure, good job. Okay. On to the next one.
Of course we are still friends.
That's right, we're still friends. Okay, getting rid of Succumb to the Cold feels pretty nice. I'm just never a fan of this. It would have been nice there against the 14 attacking Overwhelm Vi, but just a little short of the quality we're looking for. I mean, I guess we could have played that game a little bit slower. We had the Rhyme Tusk Shaman on the board. I just felt like we were going to be able to punch in enough damage there. Like, I don't know. If you're able to be like, oh man, he's going to play a Chrono Shift on this Vi, then that's good. You're probably ranked well above us in Expedition Land, but that's not something that is really on my radar to play around. All right, anyways, we're on to the next one. Kind of another awkward start. Hopefully it's not as bad as the previous game to where we are going into turn 4 and just playing an Imperial Demolitionist. That's definitely not a strong curve, but okay. Well, the Starlit Seer came to make it a little bit better, but I don't want this goat getting a bunch of value hits in. I'll let the gems stay at home for old Pantheon here.
We see through all.
Okay, this has like a lot of positive benefits for us. We have the Take Heart in hand to try and boost the Starlit Seer with. We have the AoE in hand as well, where we've just given him a 1 health unit. I think this plays out into our favor fairly frequently. I mean, if he wants to play gems onto this unit, that's fine. Not super worried about that. This play here looks okay as well. Gemming up a Saga Seeker is not that big of a problem. It's a little more problematic now. He's definitely grown in size and stature, but I think we're okay.
This would be a good winter.
I feel decent here. It's like if he didn't have a trick last turn, he probably doesn't have a trick this turn. Granted, the Saga Seeker is a little bit juicier than he was the turn before, and that annoying thing. Okay. Oh, we're pretty far behind now.
Braum is on the job.
Braum's on the job, though. Might be enough to put in some work.
Good luck. Have fun.
Maybe turn in the corner. It's a big value turn for us. The thing with this, like, quick attacking, quick quill thing is we have to just get big enough board to get around it. And that can be fairly tough to pull off. But, I mean, we did just get to draw 1 unit off the Crimson Curator. We can play an Ice Shard to potentially draw another unit off of it. I think it's okay.
What wondrous discoveries await below. It is easy, see?
We could potentially get a big Braum block on him this turn. Kind of like the idea there.
Of course, he'd pick the highest cave.
So we do have this Shaman's Call. That feels like a little sketchy to drop. We play the Kindly Tavern Keeper. We can still Troll Chant after the fact. No combat tricks. That's pretty good for us. It's weird. He played the Conchologist but didn't pick up a trick. I guess that happens a lot when you're playing Bilgewater. The Bilgewater cards don't really assist in those terms, but get to play against the world's finest. If you weren't sure about playing around, if you weren't sure about playing around a Chrono Shift in the previous one, your hands are tied when it comes to having both the Conchologist and a Telescope on board. But here, I think we're okay. We're going to give the Braum +2/+2. We're going to give him +2 and Overwhelm. And then we're in a good spot to come in and try and hook down the Saga Seeker. I think if we take the Saga Seeker down, this game's probably ours. So 2-0 and Overwhelm, right onto the Braum. And then he should be, pretty safe in combat since we have the Troll Chant and the Transfusion to potentially do stuff with. Fuck me, come on. Okay. I guess we were supposed to play around that. Alright, that turn is done. Vandal City. I thought it was going to be Minimorph is the one that comes down and makes us sad. Apparently it's the Keeper's Verdict this time.
I am ready. All part of the job.
So, I mean, having both of the combat tricks here, we can Transfusion up like a Crimson Curator and then Troll Chant again, but that all feels just like super dangerous. I'm not really excited about it. Thinking of just like a block like this, or if it seems like we're probably going to have to like Transfusion post-combat.
Let's talk about your dad.
I think this is okay. We'll see what he does. I think he's like certainly going to have some kind of play here. But if at the end of the day we're like Troll Chanting away the Scholarly Climber's Spell Shield, I think this is okay. Because then we can bring it down with a... bring down the Climber and the Telescope with the Ice Shard. Nothing else. All right. All right, well, we'll lead with it. We could have done this last turn, but I wanted to see if he followed up with another unit. Then we get these two here. We'll get the Crimson Curator boost this turn as well. Give Braum some bonus attack.
It's just blood, darling.
This is looking like a decent place to just attack with everyone. We can hook the Conchologist with Braum. The Kingpin blocks aren't that good, and it gets us a little bit closer to taking down Saga Seeker. Okay. I'm a little perplexed by him not playing any cards here. He has the one card still from the Loping Telescope. I don't think he's played his Conchologist card either. Maybe he'll play his trap card after this. So this is interesting. We could, like, I was planning on just doing the value out of the Transfusion. We could try and take down the Saga Seeker with this Transfusion. Not huge fan of it. Like, he's just, it's so easy for him to have a combat trick here. I think we're just going to punch through more damage to face. Or do we just let it happen? What's this take him to 9? We get the Braum flip. I think what would be a disaster is if we like prayed Transfusion on something and then he had a way to boost this Conchologist. Let's just give it a turn. did hit one of our 1 health units. I guess he hit our only 1 health unit. It's not bad.
It is easy, see? Time to collect. You are safe with Braum.
Okay. There's the mini morph. I would like to get this blocker off board, though. We're close to lethal with the Wrathful Rider taking down the Saga Seeker. It could be a collection of tricks that make this a bit unfortunate, but we'll see. Nothing this game has gone well, so I assume that there's probably something ready to come in and to stop this attack, or stop this block, I should say. You have an allied barrier. Okay, that's fine. Does leave us short of the lethal. We 1 short with the units that we have on board. Tusk Raider, though. Did we just pull it off? That's a pretty good start. Pretty good start.
This is gonna cost you.
Nice. Okay. It's good to take him down when literally nothing goes right. So that's a tough space to be pulling down wins, and we still got it there. Okay, let's trade out this Riven. I am okay with the idea of Rivens in these decks, but she's not really going to be at the forefront of what we're doing. And now we have full-on Battle Scars champions, which is pretty nice. So you can see some of the spaces to where the fragments are good, especially with Braum and giving like overwhelms to Vladimir and stuff like that. But the champion is just a little bit off theme, and so we're full on to the Battle Scars now. Feels pretty good. We should end the day with 2 Braums and 2 Vladimirs. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, Pantheon Part 2. This hand is not acceptable. Is our curve like really that bad? I mean, seeing hands like this makes it seem a little bit better, but we've really been struggling with our early game throughout this run.
Is a trail painted with blood. Onward!
Got it, my dude.
You can see the Demacian border from here.
What you got for us? Something like Gift Giver would be pretty meh. Something like Mountain Goat would be strong, but I don't know. This is another one of these bros that's playing 3 factions for whatever reason, and so it should be a little bit tougher for them to get the density of the cards that they want. Whenever I draft Pantheon, I think the most important thing to find are the faded units, and then immediately after that, it's the gem generators, your Gift Givers and your Mountain Goats. And if you're out here seeing a bunch of Bandle City packs, those draws don't really come together. But I mean, I guess if you're able to put together a bunch of Loping Telescopes and Conchologists, it just doesn't matter. But kind of is what it is. Okay. You just got the epic that we're supposed to know to play around, and we get to draw a card out of our deck.
that bind. These hands know metal and
Okay, if he brings it in, we can weapon hilt down Riven. It's not super exciting, getting like 1.5 for 1, but it's probably worth it at the end of the day. What fragment do we hit? Overwhelm. I'm gonna say it would be nice to be able to take her down with Braum, but what's this? Moon Silver into a fragment?
I sense their
Okay.
power.
Okay. Interesting. And Braum's a little unfortunate. We can't pull off the Take Heart this turn. Can't kill anything with the weapon hilt, but it slows him down and we get the Poro. He's a big blocker. It's certainly okay. Just he'll be up to 2 fragments next turn. Feels like the first one was kind of a waste. I mean, I guess you do have to come out and level up your Pantheons however you can, but it wasn't a particularly strong one. All right, and we just had to see the Moon Silver off the Loping Telescope. Curious what the conchologist has in store for us. Don't think it's worth a weapon hilt though. The conchologist is a pretty low value unit. Sure. This Saga Seeker will be scary if he's able to get a Riven Sword on it. Right, this was his 2nd fragment. But other than that, I think it's okay. Yeah. Well, that's not ideal. Oh, it's still okay. I was like, I thought we were going to be fine. I wasn't expecting 3 to come out. I thought it was just going to be 2, but turns out the mathematics still line up. This also gets us a Braum flip. Okay. So there's Braum ready to do his thing. Do we want to get the Wrathful Rider? We can play it next turn. Let's drop the Shaman this turn so that we get the Frostbite started onto his big boy. And then I think we might have to just come in and take down the Riven, though. Or at least try.
The 3 are unrivaled.
Him dropping a Riven Sword is a little bit scary. It doesn't completely stop him, but...
I see 2 figures dancing forever in silver rain.
Okay. We just have the +2 attack fragment. And can we beat a Riven Sword? It does set them like pretty far back, but with him still having Riven on the board, it doesn't seem particularly ideal.
Time for talking to. Good luck. Have fun.
Okay, and then we'll keep the weapon hilts back just in case he has another trick or something here. All right, we did miss out on a Poro with that line. I think that's okay. I'm more worried about having to like slam a ton of damage into this Saga Seeker now, and we're not really too worried about filling out our board. I think it's okay. The only downside with this is we don't have any way to boost Braum's health anymore. So it's like we're just throwing Rune Weavers in front of this, in front of the big Saga Seeker until we have some more stats. I mean, we do have double Take Heart in hand, though, if we get to put a little bit of damage on Braum. Think we're okay, but a little scary. It's like you go all in on Braum and you get to see like Herder. It's your choice between Minimorph, the stuns, the hero's verdicts, and that's just out of Bandle City. And so,
Is that you, Atreus?
delightful place to be.
I will take it back.
So he's gonna flip his Pantheon this turn, right? I have to assume that he has a spell, but he'll probably play his spell pre-combat. Yeah. Okay. What you got? Oh boy, Scout Challenger. Awesome. Scout Challenger spell shield. At least it's not at least it's not like quick attack or elusive tied up in the mix. It's pretty good, my dude. He's going to take down Braum. Really? Oh, he still has barrier. Didn't make a scout attack. What are you doing, guy? Oh, this is gonna be a frustrating one when you have to see stuff like this, just making clearly terrible plays, but being so far ahead on board with the Pantheon flip. It's like, tell me the difference between seeing a Pantheon flip and a Braum flip. I mean, granted, it's a little bit more challenging to flip Pantheon, but all right. No pokey sticks. Can't take down the Saga Seeker. Are we dead to Overwhelm? No. Okay. All right, so what can we do in terms of this Pantheon? We can weapon hilt our Braum, and then we're just going to have to see if we hit a +2 attack. If we have +2 attack, we're still in the game. If we don't hit it, then this game's just done. All right, we managed to pick one up. Not worried about Overwhelm at this point. Let's see how it goes. This probably works like 10% of the time. Sure. All right. Well, that was a fun game. I've gotten too used to playing Gauntlet, where you can just ban that deck out. It's not. Let's see here. Hang on. Are there any good trades? The pet for the Icevale Archer is a good one. I would like to pick up these Vulpine Wanderers, but it's not for the Alpha Wild Claw. So let's pick up the Archer. Just have a little bit better interactivity. But no, it's not that I feel like Yuumi Pantheon is a like oppressive deck, and Pantheon in general. Like, do I think Pantheon is overtuned? Probably not. You know, he's good, but he's not up into the tiers of where I see like Gnar being. I still think Gnar needs tuned down a little bit, and I wouldn't be surprised to see there being like some hits to Yuumi Pantheon in this upcoming patch. But it's a frustrating mechanic to play against an expedition, in that we really strive to find like one hard removal spell, and then if you don't find it, then it just kind of, you run into games like that, as to where are we able to deal with a flipped Pantheon with a vengeance? No, but you can still deal with those giant Saga Seekers. But kind of where it's going, and the reason I'm not a hugest fan of those is there's just like a lot of decks that can't combat that, and so it tends to lead to a really polarizing format. And it's also frustrating to lose into a 3-faction deck. I still assure you, more than anything, 3 factions are terrible. If you can learn one thing about Expedition before they're gone, it is correct to draft 3 factions maybe 5% of the time. Probably not even that high. I guess you can make arguments for it, though, whenever you're just picking up Conchologists and Loping Telescopes, but it is never good. So if you're fresh to Expedition, just churning through your tokens before they're gone, just stick with 2. Stick with 2. All right, what's happening here? He's bringing in the block to our Starlit Seer. That feels pretty decent. We got another Take Heart. Ready for the Take Heart Starlit Seer combos? He's not the one I'm really aiming to hit here. I'd rather be hitting the Crimson Curator with it, but if he gives us a really juicy line with it, I'm not opposed to dropping the Take Heart on the Seer.
I have the name. I need the reputation.
All right. Do we ever just bring in the damage? Like, just open Take Heart on the Starlit Seer and punch for 8? I think I dig it. Now that we've picked up Vladimir and we have ways to get these drains in, like, that's pretty good. No concussive palms out of old Zed here. I like it.
If they don't break, they'll burn.
Then we're in this space. We can technically block the Firebrand with the Starlit Seer. I'm not really amped about it. We're like so far ahead on board. I'm looking to just like take the 5 and then Wrathful Rider block something. Sure. Or Wrathful Rider hook it. This is just less and less appealing to block the giant fused Firebrand. But I guess the other angle we have to kind of consider is what if we give the Wrathful Rider Overwhelm with the Shaman's Call? That could be something pretty powerful to pull off. Doesn't look like it's quite gonna come together here, but I like the idea of it.
Woe to those who disgrace the Empire.
I think we're gonna really be leaning on an open though. So I think we'll see if he adds any other cards to the board. If he doesn't add any more cards to the board and just like passes with this 3 mana up, which seems fairly likely given the way this game is sequenced out, I think I'll just hook the dragon, punch in for 5, and then try to set up a Vladimir kill. Right? We can churn off a bunch of Shaman's Calls and get some overwhelm boards going. But does the Shadestalker change that? A little bit. Whirling Death, though. We can't, like, Whirling Death... Well, we can technically Whirling Death the dragon if we hit it with half a Troll Chant, but I don't think I'm super interested in it. What if, on the flip side, we just attack with the Overwhelm... Or with this thing? Here's where I think we go. We just attack like this. I'll offer up the trade with the Curator. We're not going to get any value out of this for the rest of the game. And so if this gets him to spend some mana on combat tricks, it's not terrible, right? If we get to trade his mana and spells with leaving the board a little bit empty. And then I think we can just like follow up with Vladimir and try and go wide. But let's see how much he invests in this board. If he spends like 5 and 6 mana on spells, like if he tries to play a Gift of Tarek or whatever the +3/+3 thing is called, and we get a really good like Troll Chant plus Whirling Death, I'm not opposed to it. But I'm just like super stoked here if like this set of cards happens, and then I think this is still okay. I don't know. The Troll Chant play is kind of growing on me. Surviving combats is nice for the Braum or the Vladimir as well. All right. Okay, sad noises abound. Recall. Okay. Interesting. How scary is this if he just opens, right? He like 100% obviously has a trick if he just opens here. I think we still go for it. Just put in the block. As long as we aren't facing down another sonic wave here, this feels pretty fine. Okay. Sure. Right, and the always interesting Rhymetusk Shaman. She seems pretty good here. I don't think we're ever going to get this lethal, and so let's do this. We'll just come in with the Elephant. We'll drop the Crimson Curator and the Shaman, and then just build up to a lethal 2 turns from now. I wonder if we're missing out by not attacking with this Demolitionist, right? We've been missing on like a couple value blocks. This is like one of these spaces to where if he was like a little bit closer to lethal, I'd feel better about these Demolitionist attacks. Like last turn when he blocked our 3/2, this turn now where he's just blocking our big boy. Like, what if he has like the Twin Disciplines in hand, right? And he wants to make a 7 attack protector for the trade, and then we're just like missing out on this free damage. Like, does he ever really just go to 3? Right, to get a value block on the Demolitionist? I mean, maybe. I don't think that's absurd to think. Especially if we would have got that extra 2 in last turn. He's just going to 3. I guess in this circumstance, the attack wouldn't have been as good. That was not who I intended to play. I intended to play the Rhymetusk Shaman. F. Ugh, now our mana's all weird. Well, I guess the mana's not weird. We still get the Curator down, but kind of spaced out there. Okay. We never get this Vladimir flipped this game. Curious if we had an angle to get him flipped for a drain attack next turn. That's not going to be a thing. Young Witch. I think the Shaman's... It's like the Shaman's Call is just too slow. But what do his good attacks look like? If he Young Witches the 4/4 to make it a 5/5, he still has a bad attack into the Elephant. Let's just pass. He has to attack this turn.
Look, Rib, just what we needed.
Steve Fayfolk with Barrier. Ugh.
Hello, Parsnip.
Okay, well he's definitely attacking this turn now.
Come on, Rib.
Forgive me.
And leave those tasty dragons at home. Oh, here comes one.
Into the forest.
Your path ends here.
Okay, so he'll go up to 7. Is this where the Twin Disciplines comes in?
Bring me the calm of an ice-shrouded world.
Okay. So, the big thing that we're looking to do here, we're going to play the Shaman's Call and give the Wrathful Rider Overwhelm, and then we're just going to try and Overwhelm kill the Young Witch. Bad Overwhelm. Is it better if we go for like just Boar stances? Boar stance does let us flip our Vladimir for next turn. Maybe that's what we'll do with the other one. and then we can attack with everybody. This way we don't just like lose the game to a random what you call it, like a homecoming. Alright, so that happens. Let's drop our boy Vladimir. You're all flipped and stuff. Let's see what we can do.
I've dressed for the occasion in red.
You dressed for the occasion, so this has to go well. Get it done, Vladimir. Look at that. He put on his fancy shirt. He's ready. He's ready for shit to go down.
Where can I find a full-bodied red?
Okay, GG. Where could I find a full body bread? What is that? What are you eating, Vladimir? Is that the vampire food of choice? The body bread? Okay, so I'm interested in picking up the Vladimir packs unless everything else doesn't line up. This isn't a particularly good one. I could see a world where like troll gifts would be good if we did land on a bunch of the new regenerate styled cards, but we didn't hit any of that, and we already have a bunch of troll take hearts, right? I'm not really interested in picking any of these up, and so we do get the At the Stairs Ember Maiden pack. Nice bit of AoE for these themes. I was hoping to have a little bit more Vladimir than Braum, but I think this will be okay. Alright, got up to 3 wins. These Battle Scars decks, typically not that strong. They would have been, like in Foundations was when they were kind of at peak strength, when there was just the one set out. They haven't really gotten any support since that came out. So I'm curious how that will stand. Well, I guess they did pick up on things like Scar Grounds, and a lot of these Vladimir, or a lot of these Udyr styled cards are pretty well centered to the theme, but I haven't seen tons of support. The intern was too busy out there taking the key cards of the Vi builder rounds away and adding putting sun discs into the Zerath archetypes just to confuse everybody, and it's wild. That's wild. When the lead dev was there, they increased the chance to see sun disc in Azir decks if you had another Shurima champion in your deck, and it's like whoever put this archetype together just didn't check the notes. It's now you take that. You take that Zerath in pack 1, and then you don't see any Shurima in pack 2. And you're just like, oh shit, how am I supposed to play any of these cards? Alright, not a great start. I was curious if we should like trade away this Troll Chant, but if you get one of these like early curves, just like literally any 2-drop, then the Troll Chant really pops off. So, wasn't amped about it. What's the Zoe Victor? Sure. May get to do the Icefell Archer onto Zoe here. Won't spend a Troll Chant, but if we get to Icefell Archer and shut down her attack, I'm pretty okay with it. This is another one of these really weird ones. I'm like okay with playing the Frostbite Archer this turn, because it's kind of the same deal. If we like get a unit and we get to play it and attack with all 3, then that's pretty good. If we draw just like another spell, though, or Braum, and we have to overbank, it's pretty painful. We're going to get aced by these Sump Workers, though. We took the very dangerous sequencing in the Sump Worker pathing and weren't able to punish for it. But maybe Braum can come down and do some work. We could protect like 1 unit if we needed to, but I don't think it's quite worth it. worried we're going to be too slow to get this Braum going now. I mean, I guess we can Shaman's Call and try and give him some bonus attack that way, but we can't make a Take Heart style play. This is how we get him, though. We'd use the Bone Scryers in the face of the Sumpworks posses, right? You want to AoE us, you gotta take the damage for it. No, no, not strong whatsoever. Totes my goats, you got it.
Flesh was weak, but look at me now.
Do we ever play the Shaman's Call and then give the Bone Scryer like 0 attack regenerate? I think I'm okay with that. Let's see what happens here. Let's lead with the Bone Scryer and see what our opponent does. They'll probably spend some mana and not just pass it right back to us. So we miss out on the opportunity to just like come in and take down Victor, but he's not the scary thing at this point. It's the Sumpworks posse. Feel a little bit better about this now. I mean, we could take him down. We still have both stances, but I don't think that's the important one to do. Well, let's slow our roll here. I forget about this AoE stance. Should we... What if we kill off both the posse and the Zoe? I don't like that. I like boosting our Braum. Not going to give him Overwhelm. I don't think he's going to chunk in too much damage, but there is a world where he has to worry about the damage coming at him. Ooh, we get to see the upgrade. If it's like Elusive or Scout or something, Challenger. Huh. The Sumpworks posse is just so much damage, though. All right, I'm not gonna go full meme and give it the regenerate. I'm just gonna give it the +2/+2, so it's still a reasonable blocker in the face of mountain goats. But should probably just go full meme. Okay. And then we have a handful of ways to get our Braum take-hearted so that he can take down the Victor. I feel pretty okay about dealing with the Victor here. Scout. That's awesome. Let's see how he goes about this. We can like bring some shenanigans to Victor here, but it feels a little dangerous just slamming Imperial Demolitionist on one of our own units just to give it the damage for Take Heart. Maybe we do. Well, like what's his hook here realistically? Does he? It's like, does he try to hook Braum twice? I guess is the question. Probably not. But let's just go ahead and give him the boost just in case. Alright, he went for the danger plays. Let's see if it pays off. He just went, oh noes. Oh noes. Oh noes, that's a problem. LOL. Alright, so if we get to untap, we should be in a pretty good space here. Bringing in the goat. Alright. How scary is Zoe now? Do we have to open on her? He's already played one ignition. He can star chart stuff. She's getting pretty close to flipping. That's the new scary thing we're going to have to deal with. We have to get this hook on Zoe immediately. Very real chance he can flip her in the middle of combat, but I don't want him to have the opportunity to play slow spells. Wouldn't be surprised to see, like, I'm curious how this goes if he plays like a star chart here just to try and pick up, say, like the Serpent. So if he plays the Serpent and Gem and then has like a Mystic Shot in hand, it's a fairly easy flip. So he has to do 2 cards now, which we can,
Mind and open heart greet the
which is a little bit tougher to pull off. The take heart's interesting. We might realistically just get a kill here. Pretty scary though. If this Zoe, like, we don't kill here and the Zoe gets to flip, we're gonna lose this game. Okay. Well, I guess that's one way just to give up on it. All right. Maybe he didn't have it amongst those like non-cards in hand. Okay, so what do we have here? This is tough. We can't trade out Runeweaver. It seems like we have like tons of 2-drops, but for whatever reason, our curve just isn't working today. So we're not trading out Runeweaver. I don't want City Breaker. The question is like Weapon Hilt better than Transfusion, and like we don't have Riven anymore. We have 1 Blade Squire, 1 Runeweaver, and 1 Weapon Hilt is the means to make reforges. I'm just going to start cycling that mechanic out. We'll keep our 2 units just because our curve is so bad, but let's hang on to the. We can get rid. I should say we should get rid of the Weapon Hilt. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm curious as to what comes up in this upcoming patch as we face Gnar for the first time in this trial. It's like I'd kind of been like buying into the hype that there was just like too much Bandle City running around, and I still think I feel that way in terms of I think the play sequences that you run into with all of the Conchologists and all of the Loping Telescopes and the Gnar generating all the cards and Bandle City being able to do literally everything, I think it needs to get like toned down. But there is still like a lot of variety out there on the ladder and in the gauntlets, and I've been having a lot of fun playing that. And so it's tough, like balancing, the hot takes that you see on Reddit as opposed to kind of like what is actually happening in the game. Especially like I used to be able to kind of like pick apart pretty easily when people were babbling on Reddit and they clearly just didn't play much Expedition. But it's a little bit tougher for me to pull off with Constructed. It's not as experienced just yet to be able to make those distinctions. Okay, well, I'm not amped about letting Gnar get a strike, so we'll just hook in the Chief and then make him just have the Pokey Stick so he doesn't just get a Gnar strike and immediately be able to cast it. I'm kind of tempted to drop this Take Heart. We don't have any spells in our hand outside the Shaman's Call, and this makes Braum a pretty big boy. So it's like if we have to deal with... if we have to deal with the various... like mini morphs of the format, it's a problem, but I don't think that like really lives in this archetype. I don't remember seeing it in here. Hopefully we're just having to deal with the stun. Alright, so Gnar's going to be flipping. That's just definitely happening. How do we feel about these other things, though? I think the Stefan is good here. I was hoping to get like a nice... AoE onto the Stefan. I guess we can with the Demolitionist, but I don't want to Demolitionist him now that he's got three attackers in front of him. Okay, Mega Gnar en route. Whirling Death. It's kind of tempting, but I think I'd rather just go with the Wrathful Rider hook onto Gnar, get a less dangerous hook with Braum, and see if we can't piece together a good combat otherwise. Oh dear. Interesting, so he just drops down to super low mana.
Strike hard.
Time for talking to. Show me your best.
Finally, some action.
Blast him.
Okay, I just want to get these 2 units out of here.
Such is my oath.
A fight.
It's an Udyr Strike, which is moderately annoying, but we get a trade on the Tusk Speaker. Sure. We're going to have a Troll Chant. Primal Strength. Okay. We can currently take down Gnar with the Ice Shard. Not the Ice Shard. I know people. It's a poop joke. Oh, that's a little awkward. So if you're not familiar with English, if you're one of those European folks to where it may not be your first language, there's the term shit, which would be a poop. And then there's a fart, which is, when you blow air out of your butt. But sometimes you have those magical moments to where, you think you're going to fart, but then poop comes out. That would be a shart. So now we have ice sharts from Freylord here. You see it? See, it's all coming together. Teaching y'all. The international folks learning from old FTP Bust. All right, let's see what we can do here. He's gonna do like maybe if he stance swaps onto Mega Gnar, we can like re-stance swap and get in front of him and be bigger than him. I think this is okay. He only has 1 mana. There's not going to be a lot that he's doing to us this turn. And then we have the backup Troll Chant, just in case everything goes wrong. Y'all don't know what sharts are? Are you familiar with the phrase, never trust a fart? You got that in your playbook? Huh? All right, now he's putting an O2 onto Braum. Okay. So his Gnar attack is dead. I guess it's not completely dead, right? He can vulnerable hook Braum somewhere else. So there's a good chance he say like vulnerable hooks Braum in front of Ruthless Raider. So I think we want to give our Stefan the bonus. I'm going to give him the 0-2 plus regenerate since he's a good block across all of this stuff. So we might just be taking like the non-bomb from Gnar, which is okay.
Nothing standing.
Shock.
Sure.
We like it.
Well, if we're just the Gnar is just going to regenerate this damage, right? So let's amp up as much damage as we can onto the Ulseer. Take the bit from Gnar. Is that how we feel? Then Mega Gnar is going to flip back to regular Gnar, and we should be able to hook kill it with Braum. I think we have enough damage for that. Okay, not bad.
Just another winter.
And we could, I guess if we want, we can Ice Shard before combat to flip the Braum and start getting Poros. Lets us take hard as well. Okay.
Look how we have grown. This will be a fine story.
Looks pretty decent. +2/+2 on Udyr. Okay. Let's see if we run ourselves into the old harsh winds on this attack.
Feel this woodland. Have fun.
Can't wait to see the mini morph for the harsh wind. The harsh winds we've been dealing with for years. It's the mini morph that would be problematic out of this one. Okay. Clearly doesn't have it. Look at these dudes, so big. So meaty. So muscular, Braum. You got it all. Okay, the telescope coming in. Can't wait to see what Epic's going to wreck us here. The Fang's not that bad. It is a gigantic value chain that he's getting to pull off here, but it doesn't really help him get ahead on board. Sure. We're going to get burnt out of this one. The thing that I was like starting to worry about in my head was like, all right, well, he plays the Fangs and then he gets the 3/3 elusive, and that one starts to be problematic. But
Let the flames take you.
heads up, AoE's on the board. I think we have to do it, though. There's definitely a world where he just doesn't attack here. Like, is he supposed to attack his Udyr into our Braum? And so I think it's reasonable to add. Now, he does have, like, 6 mana and 6 cards in hand. So it's not unreasonable to think he's going to play a card here, but I think we just kind of got to get it down. This attack's still terrible. How useful are you? Pretty? Pretty useful? Shuts down 2 of his blockers. He gets the Toad. We need to hook the Pterodactyl with Braum. We can go ahead and give you a nice little Overwhelm treat. And then we should be able to just lethal here.
They all scream.
Braum bringing in the Pterodactyl. I want that AoE taken off the board. And then we have the Whirling Death. So if we need to, say, he puts a Udyr in front of our Wrath of the Freylord, we can chunk him down for all of his health and then chunk in the Overwhelm damage.
Such is my oath.
Still neg 2 without the Whirling Death. Nice. Good job, Wrath of the Freylord. I knew you had it in you. Oof.
The day is ours. Now we eat.
Now we eat. So what do we got here? 3 Sisters would be okay, but I don't want to trade out our cheap units. I don't think we want to trade out any of these units. I don't know why it's been so weird. We have a good ratio, right? 25 units and 11 spells is pretty decent. No landmarks. Our expensive, like our curve looks good. I think we've just run into like a bit of variance, but I think I'm still going to hang on to all of these. Making our way there. See if we can't get to that final battle. I don't feel like it. I feel like this is kind of like the space where the Battle Scars decks kind of fall off. It's just, you know, it's good enough to beat the 3 faction decks, but it's not. It's not to say we can't 7-win with this, but I don't think it happens, you know, nearly as frequently as like if we had a Shyvana deck at the 5-win mark. Got an opponent? What's happening here? Okay. Kindred. We haven't bitched about Kindred in a while. I miss it. That used to be one of our favorite activities, is to come out here and just bitch about Kindred. It's strange in that she's been strengthened, right? She used to cost 5 mana instead of 4. She used to be a 5 mana 4/4 instead of a 4 mana 4/3. And she was just like way ridiculous in Expedition right when she came out, but she's kind of toned down a little bit.
I write the rules of power.
And I think that's really just a function of the way Vandal City is. They have so many good, just kind of like swarm cards that it's not as strong when you're just killing off little like 2/1s every turn. I was gonna say I was surprised he didn't Vile Feast last turn, But I wanted to just kind of go ahead and open because it seemed like he was just going to Vile Feast whatever we played. But if we play a unit and then he Vile Feasts, then he gets to shut down all of our bros because they're very tiny. And so it seems like a decent place to open and just move on. Forge forward. Hit the Mist Wraith? Not bad. I will trade our Icefell Archer for the Mist Wraith, and then he doesn't agree. Interesting. What else are you doing with this? But we're not really assembling a winning board, is what's kind of scary here. We need a combat trick or something to do. Not quite ready for that something to do to be Elixir of Iron. So we'll just drop the Shaman and pass. See if we can't stall until we find an Overwhelm or something. Something to do, but we don't have any pings for it. Welcome, Kindred. We can just take this one. It's not a huge chunk of damage coming in. We'll try to deal with it next turn when we can come in with a bunch more 3 attackers. Ooh, Freylord guy, you're kind of interesting. Getting us in the spot to just get an open kill. All right. Well, I guess we just keep passing. It is kind of dangerous, right? If he pops the Wrath of the Freylord with a Vengeance or something, then we get a little bit hosed. We don't have to like attack with this. We can just override it with the Kindly Tavern Keeper, and then the Kindred doesn't get the boost. Yeah, these attacks are all terrible. So yeah, here's what this game's going to come down to is if we get to play the Wrath of the Freylord and our opponent doesn't have the Vengeance, and we'll win. And then if he has a way to get in front of it, then we'll lose. Now this is like a little scary here in terms of like who do we, if we want to get a unit on board, he still has like all of this mana. It's like we don't have any baits to throw it out for the Freylord thing. Where does this go? To the Icefell Archer? So I'm just thinking, like, what if we drop these, and then we play Wrathful Rider and pass, or Wrathful Rider and Avarosian Sentry, and then try and get the Wrath down next turn. I just don't feel ultra good about him having all of this mana, and we need to bait just a little bit. All right, this kind of looks like a juicy Vengeance target. He's a little scarier in terms of our opponent being able to have spells for it. But if he just passes there, I feel a little better. So let's see if that's good. Let's see. We can also Troll Chant Neg to attack onto Kindred so it can't block. But I felt like the Wrathful Rider was going to draw some kind of removal if they had one. Ether Fiend, yeah.
Yes, something cold.
They need not know yet.
Okay, so we lose.
This one is locked.
Guess we can try, but pretty done here. That's why I wanted to play the guy last turn. That gets around like crumbles and stuff. We just didn't have the opportunity to stop that here. I wanted to be able to, I wanted our opponent to like tap down to 2 mana. We play our big dude and then just open attack. And we weren't able to do that. That's a little unfortunate. But We might still be able to get this. We have expensive units, I guess. It's quite the mark of goodness here. Okay, sure. And so we could have played that a little slower. I mean, maybe we should have just gone for like a quick attack challenge with the dude that turn, and then on our next turn, tried to just bait that out. I don't know. It's just like playing against mono Shadow Isles and them having not played a hard removal up to that point is pretty challenging. But it's like the Kindred's just going to get out of hand if we don't start doing something. She was about to flip. The flip isn't what matters. It's her killing a unit every turn. Essentially 2 units every turn. One with her attack, one with her flip ability, and then or with her hero power, and then she's just a real pain to deal with once she's a 10-8 or whatever, and you can't attack into her. I think we were probably 1 turn too fast in playing the Wrath of the Frey Lord or whatever he's called. But okay, on to the Vigio battle. I think I'm willing to hang on to Braum with this. He's been like pretty important for what our deck is trying to do. I feel like that's kind of like what our problem was last game, was we just didn't have enough interactivity. It's just like, hey, here's a bunch of stats. Can you do anything about our stats? You can? Then cool, this game's over. And so I think it's good to hang on to him. I usually won't hang on to expensiver champions, but
Nothing escapes my watch.
all right, nothing coming from Ovigio Gallio here.
It's my time.
I think I'm good to just 3 bank. These aren't exciting units to add to the board, and the Tavern Keeper and the Bone Scryer.
In the city walls.
It's ready to pass out them Formidables.
Take up. Duran's build the best.
Okay, so he's got 3 mana in the back. But this thing has Formidable, so if like all goes wrong, we... Oh, yeah, Fearsome. I guess we won't block you. It's like if all goes wrong, then we can still just like Noxus Blast this thing and shrink it so that the Formidable attack does less damage, but... not exactly working how we wanted.
It is easy, see?
Spell Archer, you're kind of interesting. I mean, should probably just open, but
You met my shield? For kin, for Demacia. This will not stand.
I'm ready to get our Howling Abyss on the board. That's what it's all about. Vengeance. Okay. We already got the Poro out of it, so it's not horrible, but... Okay. Sad noises. But I think we're fine. We can throw a unit in front of the dragon if we want. Don't really need to, but we're like 100% got to play the Howling Abyss this turn.
I'm still learning, but I'll help if I can.
So the Icefell Archer is not going to do anything to the dragon. You can still just block it with the Mighty Poro. But let's not play the Howling Abyss until after combat. Do have to worry a little bit if we take like a 6 damage hit from the Camaveran dragon and then he's able to get us into atrocity range. It's a little scary. Drops a soldier. Okay. That's it? Interesting. pretty mind-blowing. But works in our favor. Alright, what you got, Howling Abyss? Zillion. I don't even know what you do when you're flipped. This is not one of the premier champions to be drawing, but round start. He creates a fleeting copy of each non-fleeting card we played last round, and so pick up a bunch of spells, that's for certain. We don't have to play him first, right? So we can say like Ice Veil Archer and play Zillion after the fact. It's like I'm kind of interested in just adding a unit, Noxus blasting something, then playing Zillion and banking 3 into the next turn. God, he's so close to dead. I didn't realize he was so close. He's down to 7. This is how we do it, right? Can we do all of this? We add the Bone Scryer. We Noxus Blast onto the Bone Scryer, and then we overwrite something with Zillion. Then next turn we get a Nox and Fervor. Right? Now he can like single combat out of this. That's a little problematic, but getting real close to lethal. We want any of these? Maybe Elixir of Iron. Doesn't even seem that good. We'll skip that.
The way is always the same.
All right. We have our flipped Shyvana. What the hell? Create a fleeting copy. Oh, I saw you play last turn. Fuck. Okay. Well, that one's on me, I guess. That one's on me. So we can do one with the Bone Scryer if he makes this attack. We can Time Bomb for another point of damage. I was trying to envision how we get good plays out of It That Stares.
From death.
This dum-dum down here has Fearsome.
If it's a fight they want,
Yeah, I'm a little worried about Atrocity.
look out for Reavers.
Where does that leave his units? A 3 health tough dragon, a 3 health Camaverin thing, and then a 5 health big dragon that we would be trying to clean up with It That Stares. I don't super like it, but I think this is okay. This also gets us to the point to where we can chain time bombs, right? If we play a time bomb, Zillion's gonna see us draw or see us play it. When I survive damage, deal 1 to the enemy nexus. Did he lifesteal or something? Oh, he got the kills with the Camaverin dragons. Okay, gotcha.
Beauty in the blade.
Let the flames take you.
This is 3 damage as well, right? We have 1 from the Ember Maiden, 1 from the Time Bomb, then the Ember Maiden's going to hit the Bone Scryer after we heal it. Just trying my best to throw this one away.
What are we doing again?
I think that's 3. You got the crumble onto the dude.
I tried.
He tried. All right, so Time Bomb plus Ember Maiden will take him to 1. What's Pantheon do? Gets 3 gets 3 abilities. I'm kind of interested in this Shaman's Call. I don't think we can get lethals with it though. Opponent surrenders. Okay. I'm gonna say, it feels like we should be okay. But, well, of course. All right, we're making our way to the final battle. Good job, good job. And so, always interested in Battle Fury. I don't think this is really the place for it. I've been kind of okay with these Wrathful Riders in this deck just to have a big interactive unit, right? Because we don't have removal spells. We have to play bad removal spells like this. I think I'm going to skip over all of these. I don't really want Crimson Aristocrats. Here, don't need the Shaman's Calls, never trading out Howling Abyss. Calling Strike, it would be a removal. We have to lose a good unit for it, though. What do we have? One Whirling Death? Yeah, we don't have the Frostbites to make it very good, though. All right, I'm going to skip it. On to the next one. Not really interested in Glory Seekers. Don't want to trade out our Overwhelms. We'll skip that. And the last one. Could see an argument for a second Rhymetusk Shaman. Just the Troll Chant's probably too good to trade away. So we'll skip these as well. All right, we didn't punt the last game, or we didn't punt it hard. We definitely messed it up, but we didn't punt it hard enough to fail. Making our way to the final battle. Let's get in there. Up against Old Nar again. Interesting though, it's two Udyrs, one Anivia, one Nar. A little scary hanging on to all these 1 health units against what should be a lot of AoEs, but we'll try.
I hope that was mud.
I hope that was mud. Is that another poop joke coming from the Blade Squire? I appreciate it, my dude. You're doing your best. All right, the Starlit Seer comes down safely. Opponent didn't have any 2s. Interesting. It's got to have something here, right? This is a pretty good counter to Ember Maiden. Ember Maiden would have been the kind of scarier unit if we added Runeweaver. I mean, he's going to do something, but... Oh, friend. Okay. So with the Sentry now, this will just be an open, right? If we add the Runeweaver, it just gets blocked by the Sentry. I'm not really amped about adding units and trying to play Elixir of Wrath. If he just plays random 4-drop, then we're really hurting. So I think that's fine. Interesting block onto the Starlit Seer. We should be able to protect it with the Elixir of Iron this turn or take heart next turn if we need to. Vladimir. Alright, block. He can't stance swap to make Udyr big enough to get through Vladimir, but I'm ready. AoE stance. Okay, so how do we feel if he attacks with this Udyr now? Since it would trade with the Vladimir. He's not willing to do it. What do we have? Quick attack and overwhelm.
Let me show you what I can do.
Cool. This is tough. Like I wanted to get our units in the space to where we get this like open attack, this big attack here, but we can't both overwhelm and take heart our Vladimir on this turn. I mean, if he's not going to play cards, we might just have the lethal here. Vladimir's going to drain for 4, and then we can take heart whatever doesn't get blocked. I think that's fine.
This is our path.
Game says 0. Seems like he's going to have a card, but getting to follow up with the take heart's good enough. All right, cool. So, I mean, we talked about this deck not really being a 7 winner, but let's be real, that guy's draw was abysmal. And so it wasn't the strongest game we had to play against. I don't know how his deck was at the end of the day, but his draw was most certainly awkward. And so, yeah, it's nice to take another one of these classic decks to a 7 winner. Again, this isn't the strongest thing you could be doing anymore. It's probably not even the strongest thing you could be doing with Braum. That would be Poros. Probably is the strongest thing you can do with Vladimir because his cards are all just so bad. But the way that this deck historically kind of came together was really focused on the Crimsons. Like, you used to not want to pair these two things together. There was the Crimson archetype, but it got nerfed kind of to oblivion. They made Imperial Demolitionist deal 1 less damage. They made the 3/2 Legion Grenadier deal less damage, and so this used to be like a really 2-drop heavy burn deck, and they kind of took that away. Once those nerfs happened, the Vladimir decks kind of fell apart, and then they've always been trying to kind of push this self-damage theme. They did add the Scar Grounds and whatever the landmark set was, but it was never a card that you actually wanted. And now things are slightly different. That Nar is on board. There's all of the Udyr cards. There's all of the Regenerate cards out of the new set. There's multiple AoEs out of the new set. And it's just a little bit different. And so I have, if I'd had like better knowledge of what was actually in these archetypes, I think we could have crafted something a little more appropriate. Like, I had in my head that this used to be, like a really burn heavy archetype, and then we could take advantage of that if we're able to add in these Freylord Overwhelms, right? Because if you have the Relentless Predator, whatever he's called, the 3/1 for 2 that has tough, then you can put all of your self-damage stuff onto the tough unit and it just survives all of it. And then you have that other cheap Overwhelm to just give you like a really good aggressive curve. And then if you're able to give those early overwhelms, like +2 attack or something, then you're just chunking in tons of damage. That's kind of the idea I had. Then we were going to add Vladimir's on top of it so that you could get the AoE drains at the end of the game. That deck just did not come together, and we had to kind of switch into a more Braum-centric deck. And that is just like a scary place to be these days. Like, trying to play Take Hearts and trying to go tall on a single unit with Shaman's Call. It was successful in some of those games, right? We got the, 12, 14 Brahms, and opponents couldn't do anything about it. But there's just like so many ways in Bandle City, and Bandle City's so good these days that it's just ultimately super scary. It's like, if you need to count on Braum to work, and you have to be like, oh, okay, is this going to be a barrier? Is this going to be the Gnar stun? Is this going to be a mini-morph? Is this going to be a stress defense? Is this going to be the barrier bastion card? Like, there's just so much shit that you have to deal with out of Freylord or out of Bandle City that it's like really ultimately pretty scary to run like a go tall strategy like Braum. And so you can do it with Pantheon, right? If he has some spell shield cards, and if he flips and gets spell shield, it's not like a huge investment that you've made into him. But running these Braum decks into Bandle City and being like, oh, I got another Take Heart, it's pretty tough and scary to pull off. And so I think today, it was more of a Braum build around, and the Shaman's Calls were good, but I think at the end of the day, we just kind of got lucky with how the things came together, and a little lucky in pulling out the victory. But it was enough. We did it. And so, looks like we have a handful of rewards to click on. Looks like, I'm pretty sure some of it is going to be our icons for getting the prime glory in the previous video. And so that's what we're starting to do. If you all are willing to watch the constructed formats, have been starting to slowly and get some of that together. I think in the upcoming week, we'll probably be focusing on expeditions at the beginning of the week, and then when the patch comes out, we'll probably switch into constructed for a few days, and then after that few days of the new patch, we'll just wrap up expedition with 4 or 5 trials of the new patch and be done once we get to 500. But I'm really interested in seeing how the patch cadence comes out and everything, in terms of if Riot is going to piece together this kind of setup of a balance patch 1 month, a new set release the next month, a balance patch 1 month, Like, get rid of this champion expansion shit that messes up all the cadence, and really get that moving. I think that'll be really interesting. That was what I kind of like hoped and prayed for in terms of Hearthstone, right? Hearthstone was on like a monthly schedule. They released new cards every 3 months. It was every 4 months for Hearthstone, and it was like they would maybe do something 2 months in. And I think here recently they've gotten into more aggressive and common balance patches, but I think the monthly stuff is really kind of interesting and good, especially when you know what's going to happen. It's a little frustrating when, like with the beginning of this year, and it's like all the roadmap's coming, and the roadmap says, the balance cadence is all going to be messed up and everything, and the releases are going to be messed up. That's fine and dandy. They're still figuring things out, but it's nice if they can get that kind of like synced up and regular, so the expectations are set coming into each month. But those were some rewards. I think there was an icon or two in there, but otherwise that is going to do it for us today. And so I hope everyone enjoyed the trial. You learned to bandage up your battle scars a little bit better. Maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.